So FIFA is very much a game that plays on your mentality. You might be the type of person that rages game in, game out, champs, rivals, friendlies, whatever it is. You may find yourself getting a little bit frustrated. Today, we're talking about focus on what you can control on FIFA. I have it all the time where people come into the Twitch chat and they say that they conceded in the 90th minute and Van der Sar decided to move his hands out the way, or the ball went through his hands and he turned into a 1 overall goalkeeper and he was just woeful. And that cost them the game. And they were angry, they threw their controller, and then they needed to head down to Argos to go and pick up a new one. Well, what we want to do is we want to try and limit that. Now, I used to be there myself. When I first started playing FIFA, I raged a lot. I got frustrated with what I saw on my screen, and I always thought that it wasn't my fault and there was something else, playing a factor in that way. And don't get me wrong, I have moments now where even still you can get a little bit irritated. But what I want to try and do is bring that back, because what you have to remember realistically is raging, A, isn't good for your mental. It's probably not really that helpful. And B, controllers are quite expensive. So we really want to limit how many times we break them. So, with the debate kind of being control what you can control, what do I actually mean by this? In FIFA, there are elements that you control, that you play a part on, that you as the player, you instructed your player to do that on the pitch. They take a heavy touch because you held sprint, or maybe you second man pressed and pulled that man out of the way, or maybe you gave the ball away in the middle of the park and you got hit on the counter and then your goalkeeper flapped at it and didn't save it, and then the opponent wins the game. We have to focus on what we can control. And the thing is that we have to remember is that so many people would probably look at it like this: what you can control is this, and the annoyance, the rigginess, the EA bull, as people may say it, or the DDA or the scripting or whatever it is like this. What if I told you that it's actually the opposite? You control this, and what you don't control is this. There is so many factors that you control in the game that plays an impact to what happens on the actual pitch. And you might be sat there getting ready to write your comment and going, you're wrong, and that's fine if that's what you think. But to the people that really do maybe take a step back and really think about it, you have to look at it like this. There's players out there that go 20-0 every weekend. They hit 1,000 SR in rivals. They're some of the best players in the world. And don't get me wrong, sometimes they have an unbelievable team that can aid in that. But they had to start somewhere before they had that team. They weren't just a pro overnight. And before that, they've shown their talent. They might not be as good as they were back then, but they still had that talent. So if we really take a look at other players and we say, well, what is it that they're doing that I'm not, that makes that difference? Well, a lot of them deal with stuff that they can't control better. But what they really focus on is this: what they can control. When they get to the 80th minute and they're winning 2-1, do they slow the game down? Do they make substitutions? Do they see the game out properly? And the answer is yes. If a ball comes through and your defender makes a silly animation that you didn't input, you were just holding jockey, and you get caught, or they fall over their own feet, and then the ball ricochets and bounces and it goes through, they laugh at that. But what they focus on is the prior bit. Let's rewind it back 5 minutes. Well, we had the ball in the middle of the park, and then we were making our way up, and you know what? We went for an over-the-top through ball that was never going to work, and we gave the ball away. And then that's what they focus on. And in doing so from that, you put more ownership on yourself to really try and limit those stuff that you can't control. And yes, there are some things that you genuinely can't control. And this is where I'd invite you to think about this. FIFA, in a way, the game that you are in, that you are playing right now, is the most important game of your life. But it is also the most least important game of your life. And what I mean by that is I want you to have passion, and I want you to win that game, and I want you to try and focus, and I want you to do everything in your power to win. But when the game is done, it means nothing. Every single game that you play on FIFA, the game that you are in, is the most important. But as soon as it is done, it's been and it's gone, and you're not going to remember it next week, let alone in 10 years' time. So you really have to try and balance that. And this is something where I can struggle with, where because I know that FIFA is FIFA and that a new one comes out every year and next week we're going to be on a new promo and new cards and a new weekend league. Sometimes I can get a little bit guilty of maybe not having that passion and not having that desire to win every single game. You might be the complete opposite, and you might be so focused on that game and so wanting to win it that you are doing everything in your power, and then you lose and you get frustrated because of the things that can happen on that game. But again, if you spin it and you look at what you can control, the majority of it, and I say the majority, not everything, the majority of it is on you. You lose a game of FIFA because of your mistakes, your bad habits, your willingness to send men forward, to use that second man press, to not player switch correctly. And you'll look at it and you might say, yeah, but player switching is not very good on FIFA, Raul. It's really glitchy. I can't get it right. And it's not a perfect thing, but we have to make do with what we've got. And there's some players in the world that can player switch perfectly pretty much every time. And that's where you need to kind of aspire to be and make sure that we reduce the times that we get it wrong. So when you're sat there and you are playing champs, I do want you to kind of ask yourself after a loss, what could I have done differently there? So let's say, for example, the opponent, you tackle him 2-3 times and it rebounds back and he keeps getting it. And then you win the ball and maybe you pass it and you give it away. And then the opponent comes through, he takes a shot and Edison decides to pull his hands in and he doesn't save that. And you get really annoyed in the moment in the 90th minute and you lost that game. And you step away, you come back 20 minutes later and we look back on that game, analysing being such a key thing. And you notice that it's those times where you were tackling, when you do, the ball bounces back, you were tackling from the side. Maybe you weren't doing an R1 circle, the power tackle, to be nice and strong. Maybe you were tackling at a time where the ball just wasn't there to be won, which is why you weren't getting the clean tackle. But then let's maybe say you go, no, I did everything right there to tackle it. The ball just kept bouncing back. Okay, that's fine. That's brilliant. You win the ball back, but you gave it away. You passed it in the middle. Could we have took some time and ran out towards the wing and then looked to lay it out and looked to build into that last attack? And you go, yeah, well, brilliant. That's something we can focus on then. What then happens after with Edison pulling his arms in and not making a very comfortable save and the opponent winning the 90th minute and you being frustrated? We look at that and say, can you actually control what Edison did, that movement? No, you can't. The only thing you could have done is maybe goalkeeper movement to really bail you out in that scenario. So if we look at that and we know that there's things that we can focus on to control and there are things that we can't focus on that are out of our control, then that's when we're going to be in that improving position. We're then going to be able to develop as a FIFA player and get better ranks and rewards. And you might be sat here watching this video and going, why is this guy saying this? He's waffling. This is stupid. Because the point is that if you want to get better at FIFA, the beautiful thing about it for me, which is why I tried to help you get better at FIFA, is so that you don't go and resort into, well, I want a better team, so I'm going to put FIFA points on. You can get better actually on the sticks and get better rewards. In turn, you'll have a better team and you might find more enjoyment out of it. So ultimately, that is the goal. That is why we're doing this. If you're sat there and you're watching this video and you say, I don't care about getting FIFA, I want to carry on raging, I want to load up FIFA points and give money to EA and whatever, that's fine. You do you. But if you can seriously sit there and go, I don't want to spend money on FIFA points, I don't want to break controllers, I do want to try and win more games, you do have to kind of look at it on yourself and just focus on what you can control and how you can get better. We released a video recently where we spoke about one thing that kind of people get wrong all the time with formations and looking for quick fixes. And we have to avoid going into that battle and focus on the fundamentals and gradually improve one day at a time. When you go to the gym, you don't just go and just do a bench press over and over and over and over and over again. We don't just run in and go and do loads of different activities with no idea what we're doing and expect results. So focus specifically on one or two things on how we're going to develop and how we're going to do that, and that will reap the benefits.